could impact the bypass, or the bypass corridor. And so what we want to do is provide the group an update on that petition. And the reason for that is we recognize the bypass is a regional asset. We recognize it is a valley asset. And all of you are stakeholders and want to make sure you're fully aware of what's happening there. Let me go ahead and get started. How many of you, raise your hand, attended the open house last night on the bypass? Fantastic. I applaud you for that. So most of you have an understanding of what the bypass is and where it's located. The part I'm going to talk about is considered the northern section of the bypass. And it goes from State Route 40. It heads due west, it wraps around and starts heading due south. You have that there, Tony? Yeah? Yep. Fantastic. So this section from here, from 40 over here to 100 south, is really called the north section of the bypass. The annexation petition that the city received, called the ZEP annexation, is this area right here. It's the colored portion of the overhead. And you can clearly see that it impacts almost all three of the proposed alignments for the northern section of the bypass. Obviously, there were some concerns raised that if the city were to go and proceed forward with this annexation, it could have significant impacts on those alignments. So by way of an update, and I do want to recognize the petitioners here, and they have been very, very collegial, very collaborative, wanting to work with the city very closely, and wanting to make sure it's a win-win solution. For them, I applaud them for that point of view and that attitude. So what we're looking at now is working closely with the petitioner to see if there's a way that we can develop this area here, whether it's either zero or no risk of impacting any of the future corridors. That won't be determined until the environmental impact study is complete in approximately 2 to 3 years. We would then work with the petitioner to potentially put some agreements in place to make sure there is no development in those sections that pose a risk until that alignment is firmed up and we know exactly where it's going to go. And so we're having discussions as we speak with the developer, the petitioner, to make sure that if we do move forward, it's in those areas where there's little or no risk, and we tap the brakes on those areas where there is some risk until we find out exactly where that bypass is going to go.
So you're saying that next piece where you got the purple and whatnot will not be involved in this?
I'm saying that we're talking with the petitioner right now to find out what might work and what won't work.
Because just I'll point out that those 3 red lines are too far to the west. We pointed that out. It was on this map before, but the original design that we've looked at for years just went away from it. Who's running that thing?
Oh, me. I was going to show the new routes.
Have you got a one with it on?
I'm not sure we have up there.
I do. Just give me a second if you want them. Maybe I don't. Sorry.
Is that the latest one, Tony? You know?
I do have them right here. Oh, here we go.
Okay, that's yes. The original intent was that there would be, we were of course at that time looking at Route A, which has been on the books for 10 or more years. But the original intent was that would hit Midway Lane fairly close to where you got it. And then there would be an on-ramp off of Southfield Road onto that parkway, and an off-ramp coming this way to go to Midway. There wouldn't be 4 off ramps, it'd be 1 on, 1 off, and then it cuts diagonally across that field just south of Midway Lane. So this is more accurate to what's been looked at for years. I don't know about
we will not know the final alignment.
Correct, till we get the study.
We will not know the final alignment until that EIS work is done.
Yeah.
And I'm told that's going to be 2 to 3 years out. So in order to generate a win-win outcome, working very closely with the petitioner to see if perhaps this area here could be developed in a way that posed no risk to the proposed alignment.
And that's what I'm saying. As long as you do that, not that next one over.
Did I get that right?
Yeah. It would be done in phases where we wouldn't encroach in those areas. It might be, and it really depends on what happens to development to the east of us and other things as it goes.
Further space here.
Yeah.
This is it.
Any questions?
I would add one more thing, and that is, talking to UDOT last night in the open house, it was great because they had pointed out that the reason why they have the 3 routes is because they have to present 3 to get 1. So they couldn't present just one or just two, they had to present three. And there, I think there'll be some complications if you run into Southfields Road right into it. So to say this is where it's going to go.
Correct.
Because it's got to be 1,320 feet from the nearest intersection or light. So it's likely that's going to move anyhow.
Well, the reason for the A, B, and C, it's not 3 routes to have one, because you don't have 3 routes to have one on the rest of the planned
Yeah.
parkway. It's because of perceived wetlands in that area, and that's the
Potential
study's got
environmental
to
impacts,
determine.
absolutely, yeah.
So I appreciate the opportunity to update the group. If there's no further questions, we'll go on to the next item. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Item number 7 is Councilmember Franco is going to talk to us about a clean air initiative.
Thank you. This will just take a minute to get set up. I've got mine. I'm going to see if this will work.
I thought we had these on here, clean air board spot.